If your child is constantly pretending to cook, serving invisible meals, or stirring an empty pot, don't stop them. Here's the surprising part. Before the age of 6, that simple game may be doing more for their brain than another counting worksheet. Most parents have been taught that the earlier children learn numbers, letters, and flashcards, the smarter they'll become. But some of the world's healthiest and highest performing children grow up with a very different philosophy. There's a reason Japanese parents don't rush to turn every moment into a lesson. They believe some of the most important learning happens when children simply imitate everyday life. Ignore this, and you may spend years encouraging activities that look educational, while overlooking the kind of play that helps children become better thinkers, communicators, and problem solvers. What most parents never realize is this: when a young child pretends to cook, they're not just playing. They're practicing the thinking, communication, and self-control skills they'll rely on for years to come. In the next few minutes, I'll show you the 3 Japanese ideas that completely change how you'll see pretend play, and whether your child's imaginary cooking is building abilities most parents never even notice. In a quiet Japanese kitchen, a 3-year-old stands on a step stool beside her mother. Her hands are deep inside a bowl, feeling raw rice grains shift between her fingers under cold water. She isn't doing what most parents would call learning. She's washing rice. To most adults, it looks like an ordinary household chore. To her developing brain, it may be one of the richest learning experiences of her day. Neither of them is thinking about neuroplasticity. Yet, with every handful of rice, she is quietly strengthening the brain networks she'll later rely on for attention, planning, and self-control. It doesn't look educational. That's precisely the point. That ordinary moment reveals 3 Japanese ideas that completely change how we think about early childhood. And the final concept will ask you to do something that feels, at first, like completely giving up control of your kitchen. The most common objection is obvious. Play is fine, but it isn't real instruction. That objection feels reasonable, but the brain works very differently. Think back to the 3-year-old washing rice. What looks like a simple chore is actually asking her brain to do far more than any worksheet ever could. When a child completes a paper worksheet, brain imaging shows it's mostly activating the systems needed for visual pattern recognition. But when that same child kneads dough or washes rice, her brain has to coordinate 5 different systems at once: movement, touch, language, social connection, and imagination. A worksheet tests what a brain already knows. Physical play is the actual mechanism that builds the machinery. In Japan, this idea has a name, and it starts with one word. That word is Otetsudai. In Western parenting, this gets translated as doing chores or helping out. But the word actually combines 2 ideas: hand and passing something on. It isn't about clearing a task off your to-do list. It is the honorable passing of hands, the direct transmission of capability from one generation to the next. In a Japanese home, a child at the counter isn't an obstacle to manage or a supervised performance. They are a capable participant in daily life. The step stool at the sink isn't a toy, it is infrastructure. Consider how we view readiness. We buy toy kitchens because the real one feels unsafe. Plastic food replaces real ingredients because we fear the mess. And while we drill flashcards, Japan gave the 3-year-old the real bowl, the real rice, and the real water, and simply stood beside them. Here is why that distinction matters. A plastic carrot always feels exactly the same. Real carrots don't. Every real ingredient changes in texture, weight, and temperature, forcing a child's brain to adapt moment by moment. That constant need to adjust is what challenges the prefrontal cortex, building the neural machinery required for planning, attention, and self-control. Here is your micro-action for this week. Skip the toy version. Give your child one actual task: washing vegetables, tearing bread, stirring a thick batter. 5 minutes. real materials, beside you. Because you're not just making dinner, you're passing capability on. When researchers compared preschoolers who practiced formal reading and math drills with those who simply played using real physical scenarios, they expected the drill group to win. They didn't. The children who spent their time in rich, play-based scenarios actually developed significantly stronger working memory, self-regulation, and flexible thinking. That study, published in Science by UBC neuroscientist Adele Diamond, forced early childhood education to rethink what learning actually looks like. Japan's Ministry of Education built its entire national kindergarten curriculum around this exact reality. They call it Asobi no Chikara. In Japanese engineering, Asobi refers to the deliberate space left between mechanical gears, the necessary clearance that keeps a machine from locking up under pressure. Chikara means power. Together, Asobi no Chikara is the developmental power that emerges when children have room to explore without rigid instruction. Western culture treats play as a break from learning. Japan treats play as the actual learning engine, with academic content as secondary. When a 3-year-old spends 45 minutes stirring water with a real metal spoon, they aren't wasting time between lessons. They are strengthening the brain's ability to hold attention, adjust to change, and sustain focus. Your micro-action for this week: protect 1 hour of completely unstructured play every day using real materials. Real bowls, real spoons, real water. Let real life become the lesson, because the goal isn't to fill every minute. It's to build a brain that can adapt. When a 3-year-old knocks a bowl of rice onto the kitchen floor, what is your immediate physical reflex? You reach out, you grab a cloth, you rush in to speak, "It's okay," or "Be careful." In that split second, you think you are helping. Japanese developmental thinking suggests you may have just interrupted one of your child's richest opportunities to practice self-regulation. In Japanese aesthetics, there is a foundational concept called ma, the meaningful pause, the negative space that gives music its form. Applied to parenting, ma is the lived experience of the unscripted space between an action and our reaction. The most critical development doesn't happen while a child is stirring smoothly. It happens inside the ma, the silent moment after the rice spills and before anyone speaks. In those 5 unscripted seconds, a child's brain is forced to perform real-time cognitive work, process the mistake, regulate panic, and evaluate what to do next. When we rush in too quickly, we close the ma, reducing the exact environment where self-regulation is practiced. Your micro-action for this week: the next time something spills or tears at the counter, count to 5 in your head before moving or speaking. Give your child 5 seconds of ma. Watch what their mind does inside that unscripted silence. Here's the confession: ma is the hardest principle on this list to actually practice. Even when you know the science, the urge to reach out before the rice spills is almost physical. You see the bowl tip, and your hand moves on instinct. That reflex isn't bad parenting. It's what happens when a culture tells us our primary job is to prevent chaos. In Japanese kitchens, the assumption is completely different. The mess isn't an accident interrupting the lesson. The mess is the curriculum. Now, let's be honest. You cannot copy and paste Japanese kitchen culture into a Western home. The meal rhythms, the spaces, and the daily schedules are completely different. You don't need to replicate their lifestyle. You just need one real moment, one real task, one real bowl. Not a supervised performance where you correct every move, but simply standing side by side, doing your work while they do theirs. Because children don't just learn from what we teach them, they learn from what we quietly allow them to do. If you want to put this into practice tonight, here is your 3-week roadmap. Week 1. Give them one real task per day. Washing vegetables, tearing bread, or stirring. No instruction, no corrections, just invitation, presence, and 5 seconds of ma when something spills. Week 2. Extend the trust. Let them lead one decision. Which vegetable gets washed first? How much water goes in the bowl? Their choice, within safe limits. Week 3. Watch what they invent. The child who is trusted with real materials for 2 weeks stops playing at cooking and starts experimenting. That isn't imitation anymore. That is scientific thinking in its earliest, purest form, right at your kitchen counter. Otetsudai, the honorable transmission of capability. Asobi no Chikara, the developmental power inside unconstrained play. Ma, the space where self-regulation is born. These are more than Japanese traditions. They point toward enduring principles of how young brains actually learn and grow. Western children get a toy kitchen. Japanese children get the kitchen. The difference is not safety. It is what each culture believes a child is capable of. If this video changed the way you see your kitchen, share it with a parent who is still buying toy versions of real things. Subscribe to Yuki School for more evidence-based insights into how children really learn, think, and grow through the ordinary moments most of us overlook. Because the biggest breakthroughs in childhood often begin with the smallest moments at home. See you in the next one.